to Week 4's preview for Deerfield Fantasy Football. I am your host, @HotBFF, who just did 75% of the show without hitting the Go Live button. So I now have to redo everything I've already said and everything I've already talked about. It's going to be a complete download. Dan is not present this week. Dan is off on a work trip someplace, so he is doing his own thing. Did not get this posted yesterday because I had my own work functions to tend to. I'm nursing an extreme hangover. We're putting this out on YouTube only, just so that you guys have something to listen to and we can get our picks out there in the world, basically. You can follow the show, Beerfield FF, Twitter, Instagram, and Untapped. You can follow us on YouTube, Beerfield Fantasy Football. Like, subscribe, do all those things that you would normally do on YouTube. I'll try my best to keep an eye and answer questions. A little hard to do, as I'm the only one here. We're going to skip the beer review and preview because, well, I'm hungover and beer just doesn't sound good to me right now. So let's go ahead and get into the news.
News.
All right, really short news segment. Seahawks signed tight end Luke Wilson. It's after the trade of Nick Vannett to the Steelers. Nick Vannett was sent to the Steelers for a draft pick. So, Vance McDonald, not Jesse James, he's not there anymore. Vance McDonald is dealing with a shoulder injury. So this might be kind of a hint at how serious that is. They do expect Vance to try to play on Monday, but I don't know if he's that good or that healthy that you go out and make this trade. Xavier Grimble's also missing time with the foot injury. So Nick Vannett's a guy that very, very big frame, athletic profile, has kind of flashed a little bit in Seattle, but never really broke out in the way that we wanted him to. So we'll see what he can do there. And then Melvin Gordon's returned to the Chargers. He's not expected to play this week, although Anthony Lynn did say never say never, so we'll see. My guess is you won't see him until next week, and they'll ease him into his full complement of touches. You might see 15 to 20 the first time out, and then it'll go and increase from there. So Austin Eckler should have another week to 3 weeks probably of some relevance before you really have to start questioning what you do with him and looking at game script. Because when Gordon's healthy, Eckler's been more useful in Chargers blowout wins than he has really anywhere else. That's all we got for regular news. Let's go ahead and hit some hangovers, check in on some injuries, see how the guys are doing.
Hangovers.
All right, hangovers. Mike Williams did not practice on Thursday. He's nursing a back injury. I'll have more on why he's not a good play anyway later. Emmanuel Sanders is limited in Thursday's practice. Just keep an eye on that. He's been nursing kind of leg injuries all throughout training camp and even through the first part of the season. So just watch that. He doesn't have to practice necessarily to play. Albert Wilson, he's expected to play Sunday for the Dolphins if you care. Same with Tyler Higbee for the Rams. Calvin Ridley limited on Thursday. He's expected to go. Rex Burkhead was limited but is expected to go with a foot injury. Edelman was limited with a chest injury and is expected to go. And Amari Cooper was limited with an ankle injury. He's also expected to play. At an MRI earlier in the week on that was negative. Vance McDonald didn't practice on Thursday with a shoulder injury. If he is your fantasy tight end, have a backup option. Just plan on playing somebody else. Again, I don't think you trade for Nick Vannett if that's not serious, although they are optimistic. Terry McLaurin limited with a hamstring injury. More on him a little bit later. That is definitely something you want to monitor. If he plays, he starts. Damiere Byrd sidelined with a hamstring injury. He appears to be doubtful. That should go to Trent Sherfield, but no shortage on targets in that offense. Ito Smith resumed practicing after a concussion, so that does hurt Devonta Freeman a bit. Greg Olsen was limited with a back injury. Not huge news there. He's been dealing with that all season, rather. So he should be fine. Mark Andrews did not practice Thursday with a foot injury. He was kind of dealing with this last week and ended up playing. Delaney Walker was absent from Titans practice with a knee injury. It's the second straight did not practice. So something to monitor with Delaney Walker. He again doesn't have to practice to play, but he is known to miss time. He is known to get banged up. Jonnu Smith, you got to figure, will be your your plug-in play there if Delaney Walker can't go. T.Y. Hilton still sidelined with Thursday with a quad injury. T.Y. Hilton can't go. Expect more from Ebron and Doyle than anything, but there are 3 wide receivers in that become, maybe dart throws if you absolutely need them in Zach Pascal, Paris Campbell, and Deion Kane. Took me a second to remember names. Danny Amendola is absent from Thursday's practice with a chest injury. Not a whole lot of relevance there. It might just mean a little more for Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay. Bears wide receiver Taylor Gabriel's in concussion protocol. I'd expect more for Tariq Cohen if Gabriel can't go. Bills rookie Devin Singletary returned to practice on Thursday. That hurts Frank Gore. I'll have more on him here in just a minute. Browns wide receiver Rashard Higgins and both starting cornerbacks for the Browns, Denzel Ward and Greedy Williams, did not practice on Friday. Definitely things to keep an eye on, as Rashard Higgins is a favorite target of Baker Mayfield. And, the cornerbacks are going to mean a lot towards the Ravens and Marquise Brown if they can't go. Chris Godwin missed practice with a hip injury. He can't go. Good news for Mike Evans. And to round it out, Rashad Penny not practicing. Good news for Chris Carson. Royce Freeman was limited with a shoulder injury on Wednesday. He's got a bad matchup. I wouldn't even be looking that direction anyway. Damian Williams is still not practicing. Good news for LaShawn McCoy. Deshaun Jackson's out tonight. Alshon Jeffrey is going to suit up, though. It's good news for Aguilar. And Benny Fowler and Cody Latimer limited at Giants practice on Wednesday. Good news for Sterling Shepard, who we'll talk about here in just a minute. Let's go ahead and kick into our top shelf and rail and, darts and such.
Top shelf or rail?
All right, going to go ahead and start with starts of the week. Daniels Kerryon Johnson against the Chiefs. He didn't give me notes, so just kind of guessing here. Not going to have a lot of stats for his guys, but Kerryon Johnson against the Chiefs it's a plus matchup against a Chiefs defense that doesn't have a lot of bite to them. I don't know how much the Lions are going to be running, so game script could happen here, but Kerryon Johnson does also get involved in the passing game, so not a bad throw if you need one. Miles Sanders is my first start of the week. Packers are giving up back-to-back 20-point weeks to Phillip Lindsay and Dalvin Cook, both kind of shiftier backs, the same way that Miles Sanders can be. And touches have gone up each of the last 3 weeks. I expect a good showing from Miles Sanders tonight. Terry McLaurin is my next start of the week. DeAndre Baker for the Giants, 122nd ranked corner. His 5 receivers have hit double digits over 3 weeks against the Giants, and McLaurin's on a hot streak. He hasn't had a game of less than 60 yards and a touchdown. He gets a ton of air yards against a team that will give up a ton of air yards. Expect this game to be weirdly close. You just hope you can play with a hamstring injury, so monitor that. On the other side of this one, Dan likes Sterling Shepard against the Redskins. If Latimer and Benny Fowler are both out, it's going to be a lot of what it was last week, which was Evan Ingram and Sterling Shepard and plus matchups. And volume will get it done with those two. Last starts of the week, Dan likes MVS against the Eagles. Valdez-Scantling has been the better out of him and Devontae Adams. We've seen him put up a couple relevant weeks, and he goes up against an Eagles secondary that's banged up. Darby's going to miss time, and it has been giving up basically big plays. They've just been getting torched. So MVS is somebody I plugged into most of my lineups. And my last start of the week is going to be Christian Kirk. He's going to drop Trey Flowers, who's not necessarily ranked fantastically for coverage, but he's also averaging 10 targets a game on an offense that runs a ton of plays against not a fantastic defense for the Seahawks. In a game that I would expect to be close, I'd expect the teams to have to keep passing. Christian Kirk getting that type of volume is somebody I want in my lineups. As for sits, Dan wants to sit Sony Michel against the Bills. I like that call. That's a game. You haven't seen a lot of pop out of Sony Michel. Not game script. You haven't seen a lot of pop out of Sony Michel this week, or this year, rather. Not chunking off a ton of yards, a ton of big plays, or anything like that. I've seen Rex Burkhead a little bit more involved. So, sit Sony Michel. My sit's going to be Mike Williams. Despite what Amari Cooper did, Xavier Howard is a tough matchup. Allen shouldn't see Howard playing out of the slot, so that should be all Mike Williams. Game script doesn't favor a ton of passing in this one anyway, and secondary targets have not managed to do much against the Dolphins because of that. So I don't expect a ton going Mike Williams' way. Keenan Allen's the only part of that passing game I really want. My second sit of the week is going to be Frank Gore. Against the Patriots, there isn't going to be a whole lot of game script going in his favor. He's not going to be a primary pass catcher as the Bills figure to be playing from behind. And New England's run defense has been very, very stout. Connor, Drake, and Bell all under 7 points and 35 yards against New England. So not looking for Frank Gore. Dan wants to sit DJ Chark against the Broncos. He draws Chris Harris. I am perfectly fine with that. No other analysis needed. Dan also wants to sit John Brown against the Patriots. That's another one I'm kind of making that decision on too. Patriots defense has been very, very good. They know how to take away your best weapons. And so I expect John Brown to give us kind of his first dud game. For me, I want Ronald Jones on the bench against the Rams. The Rams, after getting drubbed by CMC, held Kamara to just 6 points, and Chubb was just kind of average in the 13-point range. Continues to split work, and the game script in this one could go south for Ronald Jones. I think this is going to be a heavy passing game. You may see him flash a little bit more, but I don't think he's going to jump up and be a must start to where, yeah, I'm going to play the odds and sit him. All right, we'll go ahead and jump into our weekly specials now, our streams of the week, get into You Call It's, and I will stop talking.
Weekly specials.
All right, weekly specials. Dan wants Matt Stafford. I am completely okay with wanting Matt Stafford against the Chiefs. It should be a shootout. He's got the receivers in Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay to support that, and TJ Hawkinson for that matter. I am all about Matthew Stafford this week in against a bad Chiefs defense and a high-scoring game. I personally want Case Keenum this week. The Giants have given up 30-plus to Jameis and Dak, including 7 touchdowns in those games. Josh Allen put up 25, which is actually 24.8, but that's the worst game against the Giants so far this year. Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes, going to keep the game pretty close. Teams match up well here. And Keenum's thrown the ball 35 or more times each week with multiple touchdowns in all 3 weeks. Yeah, the 6 turnovers last week, kind of a bad thing. It's against a much better defense, though, than what the Giants are going to be running out there. He has been cleared to play. And if you're in need of a quarterback, go ahead and play him. My tight end stream of the week is going to be Will Dissly. He's just under the threshold at 59.9%. Arizona's given up 15 or more tight end points 3 straight weeks to Hawkinson, Andrews, and Olsen. Targets have gone up every week for Dissly. Vanette was just traded, and over the last 2 weeks, 3 touchdowns and 112 yards. They're utilizing him, and it's a plus-plus matchup. There's no reason to not want to start him. Dan likes Vernon Davis. Same thing, same game. We keep going back to kind of that Redskins-Giants game because we expect the offenses have been the Giants overachieved last week. The Redskins have been overachieving all season. And, for Giants not great against tight ends, Jordan Reed's still out. And for defenses, I like the Titans defense. They're 51.4% out, 8 sacks, 4 picks. They play an offense that's struggled to get going. They're a very, very underrated defense for the Titans. The Falcons have not been able to really get much going on offense. They've been out of rhythm the first 3 weeks. They have not been as explosive as they're capable of, and I think you bet on that continuing. As for Dan's stream of the week, Dan is after the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday night against a Bengals team that is still missing key parts of the offensive line and hasn't really had a good showing at all this year. And on to You Call It.
You Call It.
All right, for You Call It, Dan likes Tyler Lockett. I also like Tyler Lockett. It's a Cardinals defense that has not done a whole lot to shut anybody down. The offense has shown they can keep up. Expect it to be a relatively high-scoring game. Lockett gets a ton of volume. He likes Lockett for a lot of the same reasons I like Dissly in DFS. 6,600 on FanDuel for Tyler Lockett. Going a little deeper with Terry McLaurin. Again, this is all precluded by health, but for all the reasons I mentioned earlier, he's just 4,500 on DraftKings. Dan's taking for his lock of the week the Texans as 4.5 point favorites over the Panthers. That is not necessarily something that that I am in love with after what we saw out of the Panthers offense. I don't know that that's necessarily a lock to happen, but yeah, I also wouldn't be surprised. Young quarterback, good pass rush. As for me, I'm saying you take the over 49.5 against Tampa Bay and the Rams. I expect this to clear 50 pretty easily. Two offenses that have some firepower. Yeah, the Rams defense has been good, but Tampa Bay is overachieved, but not necessarily been fantastic. The Rams could get you 35 of this, so I fully expect this one to hit the over. All right, there are no questions. I've got nothing else for you. Thank you for listening to me talk. Dan will be back on Sunday to answer all of our questions. We'll be back to a normal show on Monday and back on audio as well as YouTube. So thank you for tuning in at Hot BFF with 2 Ps, at BeerfieldFF, Twitter, Beerfield Fantasy Football, Instagram, and Untapped. And we will catch you guys on Sunday morning, 11 a.m. for the live stream. See ya.